The market doesn't care about politics. The market rewards productivity. And I know I built a company that the market rewarded. I ended up selling that company after 34 years for over $100 million. And I didn't give 2 cents about politics the whole time. And I built that company with an intense desire to succeed and become rich, with a fighting spirit, with a concern for my family, and with a lot of hard work. And those 4 traits describes perfectly the Mexican culture. And right now we see a tremendous amount of, Mexican culture coming into this country with, the Mexican immigrants. And we're witnessing in real time exactly what those of us that aren't Mexican immigrants, our ancestors did. And think about this. Those of you that aren't Mexican, Mexican Americans, think about what your ancestors, those stories that you heard, whether you're Italian or Irish or Scottish or German or English, Chinese, Vietnamese, it doesn't matter. We all heard the stories of what happened, the trips that they had on the boats, the near-death experiences, the people that they had to pay off. And we heard about, our ancestors would come over here and people wouldn't necessarily like their accents or the way they were speaking. And then how many of those ancestors told the stories of, getting, really hurt bad because they were working cheaper than everybody else. And the Americans that were here didn't like those immigrants coming in because they felt like that it was infringing on their, on their work. And that's exactly what we're witnessing right now with the influx of Mexican immigrants. We're witnessing exactly what our ancestors told us, but we're witnessing it in real time. And I built my company with those same traits that the Mexican culture is built on. First, I had an intense desire to succeed and become rich. I think it was because I was born lower middle class and my parents were always striving to become rich. They never did, but they really wanted me to get there someday. So I had a very intense desire to succeed, which is what the Mexican immigrants have, an intense desire to succeed. I had a fighting spirit. I was always getting in fights when I was a kid. I don't know why exactly. I just had a fighting spirit. I even was an amateur boxer. I wasn't a good one, but I had a fighting spirit, and the Mexican culture has a fighting spirit. Obviously, they had to fight to get over here, and try to come into this country, whether it's immigration policy or whether, they're getting smuggled in. Either way, they're having to fight. And think about those Mexican boxers. I'm a big boxing fan. And if you're a boxing fan, then you know that Mexican boxers are some of the best in the world, whether it was Chavez, or whether now Canelo Alvarez, even Sanchez, the famous Sanchez. Tremendous history, fighting spirit. And of course, when I was building my company, I was always protective of my family. And I did whatever it took to take care of my kids. And even though I didn't have a lot of time, or didn't even have the time sometime, I would spend it with my parents on family get-togethers. And that's exactly what the Mexican culture is about. It's about family. And of course, working hard. One of the biggest single traits of Mexican culture. And I can guarantee you I had to work hard. I had to do the work that nobody else was willing to do, right? I worked the 7 days a week sometimes, 10 to 12 hours a day, doing whatever it took. And that's exactly what Mexican culture is about, doing the hard work that nobody else wants to do. That's what I had to do to build my company. Even the Mexican restaurants. Now, I love Mexican food. It's my favorite food. But even the Mexican restaurants work harder than all the other American restaurants. You go in there, they give you bags of, free chips and free salsa. I don't know how they do it. They just work harder than everybody else. We need the influx of Mexican culture because it's reinventing what our ancestors had. It's helping us strengthen our American culture. And I can't finish this video without talking about immigration. Now, I know there's going to be some people out there that think that I'm for illegal immigration. I'm not. There are laws that you have to follow, and if you don't follow them, you got to pay the price. But don't think that we all haven't had a little bit of illegality sometimes in our life. And I did, and I paid the price. The bottom line is that Mexican Americans are a help to American business. And we need to get along with our Mexican neighbors as much as possible.